Hello, I'm Tom Zuber. I'm the managing partner of Zuber Lawler. We represent clients throughout the world, from offices in California, Illinois, and New York. I personally work on intellectual property litigation, deals, and global portfolio management. The other 40 attorneys at my law firm also have experience with mergers and acquisitions and initial public offerings. A number of our patent litigation and prosecution attorneys are scientists and engineers, including a PhD graduate in botany from UC Berkeley, a PhD graduate in pharmacology from Yale, and a literal rocket scientist trained at MIT. Our attorneys work in languages covering 90% of the world's population. Today I'll speak about patent rights and cannabis-derived therapeutics. I am a lawyer, but I'm not rendering legal advice in this video, and I'm certainly not offering any advice as to the usage or sale of cannabis. In recent months, the landscape on the use of CBD in the treatment of medical conditions and the value of intellectual property rights associated with cannabis-derived pharmaceuticals shifted dramatically. On June 25, 2018, the FDA created history when it approved Epidiolex for the treatment of seizures associated with two rare forms of epilepsy. The uniqueness of the FDA's action lay in that one of the active ingredients of Epidiolex is CBD, which is derived from cannabis and is thus classified by the Drug Enforcement Administration as a Schedule I substance. Subsequently, on September 27, 2018, the DEA announced that it was placing Epidiolex on Schedule V of the Controlled Substances Act, which is the least restrictive schedule of the CSA. However, the classification applied only to Epidiolex. Other cannabis-derived products remain classified as a Schedule I substance under the Controlled Substances Act. As the landscape for FDA-approved cannabis-derived pharmaceutical products has shifted, pharmaceutical companies are moving ahead with clinical trials to evaluate the efficacy of CBD in numerous and diverse medical conditions. For example, GW Pharmaceuticals is engaged in clinical trials for treatment of seizures, constipation, and pain. Insys Therapeutics is evaluating CBD in the treatment of pediatric epilepsy. Therapeutics reported a pre-investigational new drug application meeting with the FDA to evaluate CBD in the treatment of acute graft versus host disease. Tetra Biopharma announced that the FDA granted orphan drug designation to the THC drug for the treatment of complex regional pain syndrome. Parallel to clinical trials, companies have rushed to obtain patents on the use of CBD and other derivatives of cannabis in the treatment of medical conditions with or without ongoing clinical trials in support of their claims. Notable examples include U.S. patent number 6630507, assigned to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and licensed to Canalife, which is utilizing its license to develop CBD-based therapeutics to treat hepatic encephalopathy. GW Pharmaceuticals is also the assignee of multiple patents, including those titled Use of Cannabinoids in the Treatment of Epilepsy and Use of one or a combination of phytocannabinoids in the treatment of epilepsy. Meanwhile, the battle for intellectual property rights ownership is heated up, and the first disputes over the validity and infringement of these patents has already been initiated. In United Cannabis Corporation versus Pure Hemp Collective, the first CBD litigation filed in federal court, the plaintiff alleged infringement of claims directed at liquid CBD formulations using THC, CBD, and various terpenes. Prior to that, in proceedings before the Patent Trial and Appeal Board, Insys moved to invalidate GW Pharmaceuticals' patent for the use of cannabinoids in the treatment of epilepsy. There was a mixed decision by the Patent Trial and Appeal Board, invalidating two of the claims while upholding the validity of the other claims. Importantly, the proceedings before the Patent Trial and Appeal Board established that the board is willing to consider cannabis patents through its standard procedures for IPRs and PGRs. The Patent Trial and Appeal Board Forum will continue to provide a valuable resource for companies seeking to challenge the validity of their competitors' patents. A critical question that is likely to confront lawyers will entail how to identify prior art, or what was known to the general public as of the date the relevant patent was applied for. Prior art is a critical factor in patent law since it affects the validity of the patent. However, identifying prior art may prove difficult in the world of cannabis-related patents since much of the development occurred at a time when cannabis-derived products were illegal. Furthermore, patent lawyers may have to contend with overbroad patents, which may have been granted when the understanding behind the science of cannabinoids and their chemistry was less developed. And patent owners were able to make broad claims and thus obtain broad protections that could potentially be used to prevent their competitors from entering the marketplace. In sum, as FDA approval and market entry of FDA-approved CBD-derived drug products becomes a reality, companies will be investing heavily in CBD-based therapeutics. This increases the incentive to seek and enforce patent rights derived from CBD. Understanding the shifting legal landscape will be critical to commercial success in this space. That's all I have for today. I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions about patents or other intellectual property or M&As, IPOs, or litigation, please feel free to reach out. Thank you for your time.